Well, well, well. The Buffalo Sabres making some late night moves. My friends, it's almost 10 p.m. here on the West Coast, 1 a.m. in the East. So I kind of question whether or not it's even appropriate to make a video at this time. But we have videos to make because the Rangers and the Sabres and the Jets and the Sabres have made some pretty interesting moves. We all recognize that the Colton Parayko deal that should have seen Parayko go over to Buffalo was rejected. And don't worry, this is not the only video we have going over the entire situation over there. We also indicated what went down in this video here. But hey, you get denied a Colton Parayko, you turn around and you get yourselves a Logan Stanley. That's the way you do it, right? But not even just a Logan Stanley. The Buffalo Sabres have gotten from the Winnipeg Jets Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn in exchange for a second-round pick, defenseman Jacob Bryson, and forward Isak Rosen. Now, I don't know about you, but right off the bat, that seems like a pretty good deal for Winnipeg. Let's review the other trade as well. Take a look at this trade details. The Buffalo Sabres are getting center Sam Carrick, and the Rangers are getting a 2026 Buffalo 3rd and a 2026 Chicago 6th. So, a 3rd and a 6th for Carrick, and a 2nd Bryson and Rosen for Stanley and Schenn. It's two really interesting trades when you think about it. But from all the perspectives combined, I'd say that this deal makes a pretty decent amount of success. Let's go out there and talk about this New York element of Buffalo's trade activities first. Sam Carrick is 34 years old, center right wing, 6 feet, right-handed guy, signed on till the end of 2027, making $1 million a year. I didn't even realize that Sam Carrick was that old. He's just always been there. But Carrick was initially a Toronto Maple Leafs draft pick who had spent time in the Marlies and the Maple Leafs organizations. He went over to San Diego, playing for the Anaheim Ducks in their organization, was the captain of the Gulls for a few seasons before going over to the Edmonton Oilers and having 10 games played in their first Stanley Cup Finals run this millennia. Carrick then had 20 points in 80 New York Ranger games last season, and also scored himself 10 points in 60 games this year. Honestly, a pretty good NHL story. A guy who had worked his way up from the AEHL, grinding it out in the American Hockey League as far into 2023, it looks like. This guy, he's 34 years old right now. He was 31 in 2023. This guy spent like 13 years as an NHL AEHL tweener before inevitably becoming a full-season NHL guy. So, good on him. Good for working his way up. Now he'll be in Buffalo, just a city away over there in New York. And he is going to be the newest, let's say, bottom-line center for the Buffalo Sabres, if you wanted to say that. Meanwhile, you go over to the other trade that we had seen the Sabres pull off. They are grabbing themselves an entire defense pair, Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn, in exchange for a 2nd, Jacob Bryson, and Isak Rosen. Now that is the big kicker. And there are going to be a lot of folks going out there and saying, that's horrendous for the Sabres, overpay, Sabres got robbed, Buffalo got fleeced, Rosen in a package for 2 depth defensemen? Non-obvious decision. What are the Sabres doing? Now, there are going to be a lot of opinions about it, but the way I read this trade is the fact that the Buffalo Sabres are going for it. You take a look at it, they just posted on their Instagram earlier that they got like 5 toes in a row or whatever, 5 wins in a row, and they're tied with Tampa Bay for the best team in the Atlantic Division right now. They are a top 5 team in the National Hockey League. Honestly, if you're a top 5 team in the National Hockey League, you can afford to buy. And that's exactly what the Sabres are doing here. Sure, the price of the buy is pretty high. Isak Rosen is a really nice young winger, 22 years old, 6 feet 185, former first-round pick by Buffalo in 2021. And he was a guy who just absolutely torched it up in Europe and then inevitably in the AHL. Last year, he had 55 points in 61 Rochester American games. This year, he is way over a point per game in the A. And he had 7 points in 16 Sabres games. This guy is a future stud. Top 6 winger, goal scorer, really nice play driver, and there's a lot to like out of the profile of Isak Rosen long term. Winnipeg is getting a very nice piece here. Jacob Bryson is 28 years old, 5'9", left-handed defenseman. I would say that Logan Stanley this season has been pretty good, and the fact that Stanley has been tossed out there in a lot of trade rumors really does illuminate just how much value this guy seems to have had around the NHL. Winnipeg isn't really doing all too hot this season, so it's tough to really gauge things from just the sample size there. But heck, Logan Stanley's at a career-high 21 points in a season in only 59 games with Winnipeg, so he's actually doing pretty all right. This is a player that could probably fit in as a really nice number 6 option for the Buffalo Sabres, essentially taking in the spot that Colton Parayko probably should have, and replacing what Jacob Bryson was on this Sabres blue line. Bryson this season had 5 points in 35 Sabres games played. He's never been a super productive guy, but he's a body. He's there. He's making $900,000 till the end of this year, so what are you going to do about it? But really, the big value with this trade, it's Logan Stanley going over to Buffalo, and it is Isak Rosen going over to Winnipeg. Luke Schenn, you can talk about him as well. I know a lot of Jets fans have been really disappointed with the way Luke Schenn has played this season, but I will always have a soft spot for this guy. 36-year-old, 6'2", right-handed defender, and a guy who's a double-time Stanley Cup champion. He ended up winning the Cup back-to-back years with Tampa Bay because he saw his brother win it in 2019 with the Blues, and he was like, yeah, I kind of want to go win a Cup, so I'll go to Tampa, sign a cheap deal, and then I'll win 2 Cups, and then come back to Vancouver because they actually wanted me to stay around with them in the first place. So it was a really, really nice second half of an NHL career that Luke Schenn has had ever since he came over to Vancouver. But he's gone around everywhere since then. Vancouver to Toronto, to Nashville, to Winnipeg, now to Buffalo. He's taking his experience, his pedigree, his shot blocking, and his physicality with him everywhere he goes. Maybe he produces some points. I wouldn't bet on it. He did have a 21-point and 55-game season with the Canucks out of nowhere in 22-23. But ultimately, Luke Schenn is just another body being added here. Extra depth on D if you needed it. I'd say that the Sabres really are just getting Logan Stanley as a main priority in this second trade over here, and Isak Rosen is a really steep price to pay for it, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, right? So with all that said, here's the trade announcement officially by the Buffalo Sabres. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these 2 Sabres trades. Logan Stanley and Luke Schenn are new Sabres, as well as Sam Carrick from the New York Rangers. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.